And here we are again, another edition of What Barry's Talking About from Barry 360. I'm Dan Blakely. On this week's program, red light cameras. They're coming soon to Innisfil, along with other traffic calming measures. We look down the road with Innisfil Mayor Lynn Dolan. Ticks, they're coming out of the woods, not just clinging to your dog, but to you as well. We get advice on what to look for, what to do if they hitch a ride on your clothing, and if they bite you. Local politicians and celebrities will be hitting home runs for the hungry, a new initiative to help the Barrie Food Bank keep up with demand. We'll get the details. The quest to upgrade Sadlon Arena and attract more and bigger events to the city to boost tourism is ramping up, and we get caught up with the Barrie Colts in their OHL Eastern Conference semifinal with North Bay. But first, furnaces don't get much of a break between seasons anymore. Witness last week, where we went from heating our homes one day to cooling our homes the next. What Barry's talking about, joined by Chris Yanch from Georgian Home Comfort. Chris, the furnace, probably the most overworked component in the house and probably the most neglected.
Yeah, it is, and I guess it's because it's the old saying, out of sight, out of mind. It comes on, it works, heats your home, and it's something that a lot of people don't really think about.
But it's one of those things that's kind of, you can pay me now or pay me later.
Yeah, for sure. It's like any other piece of machinery. I mean, obviously, if you're maintaining it properly and on a regular basis, it's going to last, and you're probably going to get a good 20 years out of a good furnace if it's maintained without any real major components breaking down.
So let's talk about a maintenance schedule then. We're coming out of winter. The furnace isn't on as much as it used to be, but pretty soon, those with central air conditioning, that unit's going to be firing up again. What do we need to be doing between now and then?
Well, I think this is a good time of year to think about you're getting into milder temperatures, so you can do a maintenance and have them both done in one visit. I think is probably a very convenient way of doing it for most people.
What's involved in this particular visit? You're coming in, you're checking to make sure everything's fine, everything's clean?
Yeah, it's basic cleaning. A lot of people, for some reason, filters are dirty and not replaced properly or on a regular basis. So, I mean, they do that at the same time. Check gas pressures, make sure there's no leaks. Heat exchangers is a problem. I mean, if a heat exchanger leaks, it creates carbon monoxide in the home. So if people don't have their carbon monoxide detectors on or batteries charged, they may not be detecting it, but it's happening. So, I mean, they'll fire the furnace, and then at the same time, like I say, with milder temperatures now, they can pre-season air conditioning at maintenance at the same time. Again, check refrigerant pressures, make sure the system is starting up properly, compressor is working properly, and like I say, and then just they'll run through I think it's about a 19-point check on both pieces of equipment.
And now would be a good time to get that done, because most people wait until they actually need it. Then they find out something's wrong, or they flip it on and it didn't come on, and then there's this mad rush and they have to wait days and sometimes weeks.
And that is usually, it happens every year. I mean, unfortunately, they'll pick the hottest day of the year to turn it on, and if it doesn't work, we don't have, 20 people around, 20 service techs around waiting for that day. So, yes, unfortunately, if that happens, lots of times you're going to be waiting a few days for someone to get there.
Anything we as a homeowner or a renter can be doing to keep an eye on things we should be watching for, troubleshooting?
I think the biggest thing is just regular filter changes. And again, people think of filter changes when the heating's running, but the air conditioning goes through the same ductwork. So sometimes for some reason, the season changes and they don't think the filter needs to be changed. But it's a year-round issue, and probably every 3 months or so, a standard filter should be replaced.
And again, if you have this proper maintenance on a regular basis and you're getting things checked out, the chances of something going terribly wrong become less and less.
Yeah, extremely less, for sure.
So if I call you today and I say, look, I need you to come out, I want you to just, take a look at the furnace after the winter, get me ready for the summer, what's a ballpark figure for a cost to come out and have a look if there's nothing else seriously wrong?
It's $119 per piece of equipment, and that's our service rate pre-season service rate.
And then if there is trouble over and above that, depends on parts and labor and everything
Exactly.
else.
But the issue of supply chain for parts on residential equipment is non-existent anymore. We're all good. The system is working properly and parts are in stock. So usually it's not a big issue.
So as we said before, pay me now or pay me later. $100 could be a real bargain.
Yeah, especially like I say, I mean, we have lots of customers that, just are booked in with our maintenance plans, and we touch base with them every year, and they don't have to think about it. We book the time in the spring for them, and they're on our program. So that's probably a great idea for busy families too.
All right, time is right, price is right. How do they get a hold of you?
It's GeorgianHomeComfort.com or 705-720-2665.
All right, keep us cool coming up. You kept us warm through the winter, and we thank you for that.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Chris.
it.
Red means stop, green means go, but not always. During a week-long study in February, the town of Innisfil counted 650 drivers running red lights at County Road 27 and Highway 89 in Cookstown, 72% of them in the east-west direction on 89, and that was just during daytime hours. That intersection not the only one with red light runners, so guess what? Innisfil is getting red light cameras. Barrie 360's Ian McLennan gets an explanation on how this is going to work from Innisfil Mayor Lynn Dolan.
So, Mayor, how did this come into play?
So, Innisfil's been advocating for a long time to make automated speed enforcement more affordable or attainable for small and medium-sized municipalities, because up to now it's been cost prohibitive, except for the very largest of municipalities. So an arm of AMO, which they're not-for-profit, it's called LAS, Local Authority Services. They took on the task of kind of creating a turnkey or a bulk purchase for medium or small municipalities to be able to have automated speed enforcement. So they worked with the City of Barrie to be a joint processing center, and worked with Innisfil. Council gave staff direction at our council meeting the end of March to sign a letter of intent with LAS to be the first customer.
This type of system, as you indicated, larger urban centers, Toronto, Peel region, have it. Why is it critical for a place like Innisfil to also, be able to utilize this system? I think in an article you emphasized, obviously, safety.
Absolutely. It's our number one resident concern. Certainly, during the election, but anytime, if you ask residents what their number one concern is, it is safety, not only for traffic safety, and speeds, but also for pedestrian safety. We want our community to be walkable and safe for everyone, for cyclists and pedestrians, and for the motoring public as well.
Now, with this type of system, where do those cameras go? How I know in Toronto it was community safety zones, school zones. Is that the norm usually?
Yes, and that's all they're allowed to go. The legislation was changed in 2017 to allow automated speed enforcement only in those two areas. So school zones and community safety zones are only where they're able to be. Although it sounds easy, you put up a camera, it isn't. It's the back work, the changing it from a Provincial Offences Act to an automated penalty. And setting up the process of actually administering and processing those tickets, creating an opportunity for appeal. So there was a lot of backroom work to be done to support the program. So we're really, really happy to be first. The problem with being first sometimes is there are some kinks that will need to be worked out, but that's okay. Our staff are very good they're very agile, and if something's not working, it can be tweaked so it can work better.
And I guess with anything new, there's a learning curve, right?
Exactly. There'll be a learning curve for everyone, and but our number one goal is just to keep our community safe, and it's not just Innisfil. I mean, I hear from colleagues around the province that this is an issue everywhere, and so it's one tool in the toolbox. Council also got a look at the final draft of our whole traffic calming policy, and it covers other things. So in the places where automated speed enforcement is not allowed, we get a lot of complaints just from neighborhoods, and we can implement other traffic calming measures in those places.
You do have to work with the City of Barrie, too. That's where the processing is done. Is there a cost that Barrie incurs that they will be reimbursed from part of that ticket, or how does that work?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why it's been so unattainable for us for so long. So right now, the City of Toronto is the processing center, and the cost of that processing is significant.
And maybe one day down the road, no pun intended, that the JPC could eventually operate out of Innisfil as things move along?
We never say no to anything
Right.
like that. So we're always willing to work with our partners and create a safe community. There's many, residents don't always stay in their own municipality. They travel elsewhere, and we want people to be safe everywhere.
Pending Ministry of Transportation approval, the first red light camera in Innisfil will be at County Road 27 and Highway 89 in Cookstown. The hope is by the end of October. We have Hockey Helps the Homeless, and coming up in a couple of weeks, Home Runs for the Hungry, a new initiative Ward 2 Councillor Craig Nixon has been working on. He's with our Will Conkin.
Home Runs for the Hungry. Just tell me more about it. What is it?
All right, what it is a charity softball, actually slow pitch game, in support of the Barrie Food Bank. The idea kind of stemmed from the barn burner hockey game, or hockey night in Barrie, that's been around for a long time and has been very successful. And after seeing that in the fall, kind of on my way home, thinking, hey, this works. This is good. Everybody had a good time. Let's maybe try this with baseball. Maybe do a spring one for baseball and a fall one for hockey.
And then how did you get connected or think about connecting with the Barrie Food Bank?
Yeah, I had spoke with Sharon prior and certainly understood their challenges that they're facing, and felt that they would definitely be a service that we wanted to support, and it kind of went from there. After spoke with Sharon and then reached out to the Baycats, who were very supportive, and it seemed like kind of a no-brainer, easy thing to put together. But the last 3 or 4 months, it's been quite a lot of work. But we're looking forward to a good day.
An interesting aspect of this is there'll be like some local celebs playing in it. Can
Yeah.
you maybe say some names and stuff, or who's playing and how that came about?
We've got quite a group of people playing, a real mixed group. We've got everyone from Mark Smithers, who's a current Canadian lightweight boxing champion, to Mitch Hooper, who is the world's strongest man. Won the contest back in Columbus, Ohio last fall. We've got Jane Pritchard throwing out the first pitch. And we have Ron Hogarth is going to be on the field doing some on the field interviews, and our roving reporter who's always entertaining, as well as a bunch of local politicians that have given their time. We have 2 MPs, an MPP. We have the Mayor of Barrie, Alex Nuttall, joining in, and it should be a good afternoon.
Awesome,
We've got quite a wide range of folks.
And I guess that kind of like creates more buzz, especially like these local, just like celebs, like you said, are here to entertain us, come out and just let's
Absolutely,
see some fun.
Yeah, we're going to see them out of their environment. We also have several Baycats playing, former and current managers and players, as well as Josh Matlow, the president of the Baycats, will be on the field, and every one of them is, with the exception of the Baycats, will be a little out of their element, but they've all agreed to join in because it's a great cause and should be a lot of fun.
Nice, for sure. And then to the nitty gritty, when, where is it?
May the 6th, coming up in I guess less than 3 weeks. It's at the Barrie Sports Complex in Midhurst, home of the Baycats. We're hoping that the weather the weather plays along with us, and but rain or shine, we're going to be there. If the weather's too bad, then we have a rain date the following day on May the 7th.
How much are tickets and all that sort?
Tickets are $15 for general admission. We also have a $60 VIP package, which includes a great lunch prior, a meet and greet with all the players, and that should also be fun. But I'm assuming that $15 is a fair ticket price. It should be a fun afternoon, and 100% of every ticket sold will go directly to the Barrie Food Bank.
And then where can people purchase tickets or find out more information about it?
Well, they can go to the website, which is homerunsforthehungry.godaddysite.com. We appreciate you guys supporting us, and we look forward to a sellout on May the 6th.
What Barrie's Talking About is a weekly podcast featuring the best Barrie has to offer and more. We've covered a lot of ground since we began last July, brought you details of a new inclusive playground being built in Painswick, went behind the scenes with film director Ron Chapman to learn more about what many believe was the second most important rock concert next to Woodstock, the Toronto Rock and Roll Revival at Varsity Stadium in 1969. We also introduced you to an Innisfil author trying to keep male teens reading with his first novel. You can get caught up and make it easy to keep up in the future by subscribing to What Barrie's Talking About through any podcast distributor. Still to come on What Barrie's Talking About, they're small but nasty. Tick season is back. Not just a dog problem, but a human one as well. We continue to follow the Barrie Colts through the OHL playoffs, and wouldn't it be nice if one day we could watch them play in the Memorial Cup tournament in Barrie? Won't happen without improving and expanding Saddle and Arena. We'll get an update on that effort. Now this.
Our community rocks.
It's a well-known fact blood transfusion saves lives. It's also a well-known fact that the world relies on voluntary unpaid donations to fill the need for blood. The need for blood never ends. Canadian Blood Services in Barrie is calling on you to help save a life. Please consider donating today. Appointments are mandatory and must be booked in advance. Book today at blood.ca through the Give Blood app or by calling 1-888-2-DONATE.
Our community rocks on Barrie's Rock Station. Rock 95.
This is What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. They feed off the blood of mammals, birds, and sometimes reptiles and amphibians. We're back into tick season. The parasitic arachnids known to cling to dogs, spreading disease and illness. They can also latch onto and infect humans, leading to neurological and heart issues and Lyme disease. Barrie 360's MJ wanted to know more about them, what to do about them, and what to do if you're bitten by them. She's with Ramian Suresh of the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit.
So let's talk about these little pesky things called ticks. We are very familiar with them with protecting our dogs, but they're becoming quite a nuisance for humans as well. Can you tell me has there been, pardon the pun, an uptick of these ticks in the area in the last couple of years?
We've noticed an uptake in ticks in Simcoe Muskoka district, and as a result, we recommend the public to avoid ticks. And some of those key prevention messages are to dress smart, wear light-colored, long-sleeved shirts and pants, closed-toe footwear, and tuck in your clothing. And an example of this would be tucking your pants into your socks so ticks can't crawl onto your skin. Use an insect repellent that is registered in Canada containing DEET or icaridin. Read the label and follow the manufacturer's directions. And do a full-body tick check on yourself and your family, including your pets, after being outdoors as soon as you can. And if you find a tick, remove it as soon as possible.
How do you remove those pesky little buggers? Sometimes, I've seen photos and videos, and they're really jammed in there. How do you remove a tick properly and safely?
If you find a tick on yourself, we recommend to do a full-body tick check. The best way to do that is following the simple steps identified in our excellent video on the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit website on Lyme disease and ticks.
How do you know if it's is infected with, I guess like the most chronic one is Lyme disease? Do you remove it and then do you take it for testing? What's the next protocol after, say you've been bitten?
So not all ticks carry the bacteria that causes Lyme disease. And so not all tick bites will cause Lyme disease. Lyme disease is a tick-borne disease transmitted to humans and pets through the bite of an infected black-legged tick. So if you've been bitten by a black-legged tick, we encourage residents to talk to their healthcare providers. If the tick is available for identification, so residents can submit a digital photo of the tick through etick.ca, which is a timely and accurate digital image-based identification method. If etick.ca identifies the tick as a black-legged tick, residents are to contact their healthcare provider, and especially if symptoms associated with Lyme disease appear. The symptoms can include one or more of the following: fever, body pains, fatigue with or without a rash.
Is it possible, say, if you're bitten by a tick, but you don't have any symptoms yet, but you're fairly sure it's a black-legged tick, is it possible to get like an antibiotic right away to sort of, I guess, cut things off before they begin?
Residents are to contact their healthcare provider if they become ill with any of these symptoms or if they feel unwell within 30 days of a suspected tick bite.
Do you have any stats on like how they've increased in the area in the last couple of years, or any reasons why we're really hearing a lot about them in the last little while?
So there could be numerous factors that can lead to the increase in the tick population. One of those factors could be climate change. So as we notice the climate changing and the weather favoring, increased temperatures, we also would notice an uptake in tick activity as well.
That is all wonderful information. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Game 4 tonight for the Barrie Colts in their OHL Eastern Conference semifinal with the North Bay Battalion. Barrie 360's Will Conkett corralled Colts broadcaster Gene Pereira for a look at games 1 through 3 and for a preview of tonight's game.
Gene, another round of Colts talk. They're leading their second round series against North Bay 2-1. Took the first game 3-2 in overtime. Second, Battalion won 5-2. And then a Colts 2-1 OT win on Tuesday. And with some magic movement from Jacob Frasca. Maybe to start things off, Gene, break down that game winner from Tuesday.
Yeah, it was just, obviously without Evan Vierling, their 100-point guy, close to it, 95 points, and one of the top scorers in the OHL. They were facing some adversity, but they played really well, and it was defensively. They gave up just 18 shots, and a 1-1 hockey game that they really carried the play in. And in overtime, two veterans, Jacob Frasca and Tyler Savard, and they normally don't play together, but because of injuries, Bo Jelsma got hurt during the game last night, so Marty was kind of mixing lines what he had left, and just a great three-way play with Declan McDonald. He went to the net, and Frasca kind of took it across the blue line, fired it right across to Savard, and just great patience to kind of outweight one of the defensemen. North Bay defenseman went down. He kind of outweighted him, and then put it right on the tape for Frasca in front, and Dom DiVincentis, who was just outstanding for North Bay. I mean, he was the only reason they were in it last night. He just had no chance, and Frasca kind of just shoveled it into the empty net. And obviously it was a big goal. They stole home ice, and they held last night, and they did it without a couple of the top players in the lineup.
And like you said, without Vierling, he got injured in Game 2. Is there any update on him, and if he'll return maybe for Game 4?
Yeah, talking to Marty, obviously, from what I hear, it's not going to be a lengthy injury, but it remains day to day. They said they're going to try to get him on the ice today and see how he handled it, and the hope is that they get him back in the lineup. But as is the way of the playoffs, it's going to be probably a game-time decision. We'll see how Evan feels after today. And, for Jelsman, the same thing, see how he feels after a day and a bit of rest. And, again, can. I mean, they're your top two centers, so with the chance here to go up 3-1 of the series, you want them back in the lineup. And this series has just been an absolute battle. It's been everything what expected. I mean, two fairly even teams, and credit for the Colts last night because they played so well defensively. I mean, they gave up few chances. North Bay had one in overtime, and they just hopped over the stick of Kyle Jackson. But, other than that, I mean, they really didn't produce much offense, especially after Ty Nelson, their best defenseman, was ejected from the game on a cross-check to Savard's face.
And then are you satisfied with Brandt Clarke's play through 3? Do you see, does he have to do anything different on Thursday at all, or do you like how he's operating?
Yeah, the thing that kind of stands out for Brandt is a player as highly skilled as he is, and again, he continues to lead in OHL scoring, but he just does the little things so well. And even last night, you always think, okay, you want that big shot from the point. Brandt is just a veteran and recognizes sometimes you just got to get the puck through. North Bay does a really good job of getting in the lanes and blocking shots, and for Brandt, he just if you see a couple of your teammates in front of the net there, just make sure you get it through, and either they get a deflection or they get a rebound. And the way DeFincentis was playing last night, I mean, that's what it was going to take. I mean, just beating with a shot from outside was very unlikely. The Colts did a good job of getting traffic in front of the net, and that's what you got to do when you're facing a red-hot goaltender.
And then looking forward, how do you see the next set of games going? You mentioned prior to this series starting, it would probably go the distance. How are you feeling now?
Yeah, it's still, obviously these have been tooth and nail, but the Colts have a real chance here on Thursday, especially being on home ice. You still got the last line change. Marty Williamson can get, the guys he wants out against certain North Bay lines. And, you really have to take advantage. But, I think, every game has been a battle. I don't see Thursday being any different, but there's an opportunity to take a 3-1 stranglehold lead in the series, and that would be huge. I mean, there hasn't been much to choose between these two teams, but I think the Colts are feeling pretty good, fairly confident. They were dancing it up pretty good in the dressing room after last night, and they felt pretty good. And that's what's important. But they have to realize that it's right back to work, and if they continue to limit North Bay's chances like they did on Tuesday, they should be in good shape. But again, we'll see with the injury factor, and that means other guys got to step up on offense like Savard and Frosca did on this night.
So game 4 on Thursday, 5 on Saturday, then possibly 6 on Monday and 7 on Tuesday. Can the Colts get the job done? We'll see. Till next time, Gene.
Perfect. Thanks, Phil.
The Colts hoping to make it to the Memorial Cup. The city of Barrie hoping to one day be able to host the Memorial Cup and other big events that Saddlin Arena cannot currently accommodate. Ward 7 Councillor Gary Harvey helping to lead the effort to upgrade and expand the arena in the hope of bringing more tourist dollars to the city. Here again is Barrie 360's Ian McLennan.
Tourism Barrie came out with a report. There were 6 options. They chose number 6, recommending I believe it was a $40.8 million expansion of the Saddle Arena. Before we jump into those details, you were the one that was kind of the lead on council back, I think it was December 2021, a 6-5 vote to get a consultant to explore an expansion opportunity for Saddle Arena with a focus on sport tourism. What is sport tourism?
Yeah, so sport tourism's obviously attracting more tourism to our area and using sports as that avenue. And obviously being here in Central Ontario, we've got so many golf courses, ski hills. It's a huge hockey community. Curling has really taken off in the last several years, and especially too, like even with the Raptors being so successful, basketball has taken off. Now we've got TFC down in Toronto. We're hearing from the soccer community that they would like to see some expansion in the soccer world too. And now we have our own Barrie football team here too. And so it's really exploding just from all avenues of the different gamuts of sports that are available to us.
Is it economics for the city of Barrie that that could be poured into this community? If the city had a larger rink, you talked before about last decade, cities missed out on some events that have gone to North Bay or Thunder Bay because they have the facility.
Yeah, no, and that's really where this started from. When I looked around and when you looked at the economic impact that is generated by these large sporting events. So the various tourism bureaus create what they call a STEAM report, which then comes up with the economic impact that event would have had. And when you start looking at those reports, it's astounding at times. Back almost 10 years ago, when Skate Canada had the national championships in London, they came out with an economic impact report of $42.5 million. Most recently, actually just last week, Saginaw, Michigan was awarded the 2024 Memorial Cup, and they've released that the anticipated economic impact from it is going to be at least $24 million US. I know Kingston applied for that same Memorial Cup, and in their proposal, they were estimating that they were going to be $18 to $20 million in economic impact. So it obviously does depend on where your city is as to what the economic impact will be. But then you start looking at other events like curling, for instance, which Curling Canada says is between 6 to 10 million. It's astronomical, the amount of economic impact, especially when you look at we're hopefully coming out of this pandemic and we can stop using that P word. But one of our huge areas that have suffered as a result of it is tourism, our restaurant industry, our hotel industry. And it's large-scale events like this that will provide a significant boost to those sectors.
Now, Barrie has tried, the Colts, the city, to land a Memorial Cup at least twice, if memory serves, and both times not happening. It's not because Barrie isn't a great hockey town, but again, they came back to, and we're close to, Toronto and what have you. You'd think it would, almost borderline center of the universe for it. But again, it was the issue about seating and the facilities. And this report, Gary, recommended an expansion of seating by about 1,200 extra seats from the 4,200. Why is that so important to have that extra seating and those new facilities?
So the seating really comes down to, obviously, the more bums you can have in seats, the more revenue you have coming in for events, not just for sporting events, but also for concerts and things like that. And from speaking to the different sectors, whether it's Hockey Canada, Curling Canada, the minimum 5,000 seems to be that magic number that seems to be the sweet spot. Like if you look at Saginaw, for instance, they've got an arena with 5,500, so you don't have to be the Londons with 9,200 seats
like
exactly.
That, yeah.
To be able to be competitive. And also, too, it was a bit of a game changer back in 2011, the first time the Colts put in for a Memorial Cup when it was awarded to Mississauga. Because the owner of the Mississauga team at the time had guaranteed the CHL a minimum of $1 million. And I've been told that that number has crept up over the past decade or so and is up near the $2 million guarantee figure. And obviously it's huge economics for not only the league, but also for the host city.
So where does the report go from here now?
So from here, the report's with city staff, and I'm sure eventually, whether it's myself or another member of council, there will be a motion on the table requesting a staff report to get staff's perspective on this, because obviously there were several options presented, and I'm not 100% sure how option 6 became the preferred option, because that is pretty much in line with the plans that the Colts had designed back in 2011 when they were first looking at the first Memorial Cup when it came to their dressing room area and stuff. Not so much the seating, because there was a lot of engineering aspects involved in that. You are right. There's a lot of competing interests. We do have obviously several other capital projects that council will have to consider in the next few coming years. We've also got 2 new community centers that are going to be built within the next 7 to 10 years, one in the Hewitts, one in the Salems. And it'll really come down to what the will of council is and where they feel that the money is being spent best. With myself, I look at return on investment. What is going to provide the city and our taxpayers with the best return on the investment? And from my perspective right now, from what I've seen when it comes to the other capital projects outside of the community centers, it definitely does seem that the arena expansion does have the largest significant return on investment for our taxpayers, for our business owners.
Paraphrasing Mayor Nuttall, everything's on the table regarding this city-owned facility. Is it a moneymaker, or was it ever designed to be such?
So historically, we've been told by the consultant that these event centers, because they're not considered community centers, typically don't break even or make money as a general rule. The Sadlon Arena right now loses about $500,000 a year in revenue in relation to the cost of operating it. And we've been told by the consultant that that is one of the lower end of the scale when it comes to dealing with the deficits in buildings of this sort. And when you look at the volume of concerts and other events that we have in that arena, really $500,000, if we had another 6-7 days of use, whether it's concerts, special events, whatever, that would probably make up that $500,000. And that's the one thing I've really been pushing is to think bigger, think outside of the box, because it's a shame when you think that a city the size of Barrie, situated in central Ontario, we're far enough from the GTA that we're not the GTA. We've got extremely successful hockey team that draws very well. We've got a huge curling community. Basketball's growing like crazy. Soccer's really going. How do we keep losing out, especially in the curling world? I'll give you an example. We've constantly lost out to places like Thunder Bay and North Bay. And again, they're in a similar situation. They have extremely old arenas. However, their arenas have gone through 1 or 2 expansions over the years. And this is really, too, about being able to add to the life of this arena. Because to go and build a brand new arena right now that, let's say, 7,000 seats, you're upwards of $130 to $140 million, we've been told. So that's not on the table. Whereas expanding and putting some money into this, adding more seats and putting up-to-date dressing room facility to get it up to OHL standards will have a significant return on the investment. But again, it just really comes down to the competing interests and what's the will of council.
Okay, well, thank you, Gary. Of course, it was in 1995 at the time when at that time, Barrie Molson Centre opened and was considered state-of-the-art. So maybe by its 30th birthday, we'll know more, right?
Yeah, thanks, Ian,
Okay.
and thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks, Gary.
And that's our program for this week. Thanks to Ian, MJ, and Will for their input, to Matt Ladder for his technical expertise, and to you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About, rate it, review it. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on Facebook and Twitter at Barrie360 and on our website, Barrie360.com. I'm Dan Blakely. Hope you'll join us again next week.